All three circles seem to originally have had 29 stones each. What is the significance of that? Are the hurlers a massive and ancient calendar? Could their secrets be revealed by sunrise and sunset at different times of the year?
This stone circle was made, I think, in order to mark out the important sunrises of the year for the Celtic peoples, to mark where it got to the ultimate dark point of winter, in other words the winter solstice, where the full point of summer solstice, and the autumn and spring equinoxes, and the 8 points in between, which were the cross-quarter days. And one of the 8 points in between, which is Beltane, which is near the beginning of May, was a very important date for the Celtic peoples because they brought all their cattle onto the moors at that time, and then the opposite, 6 months later, Samhain, they took them back down into the shelter of the settlements. And I have found by observation, by going up and looking at the dawns on all those points, that there is an alignment across the circle for each one of those points where the sun comes over the horizon. There is a lineup of 3 or 4 stones, because there's 2 stones in the centre, which line up with the sunrise. This particular alignment here is for the autumn equinox sunrise, which will happen in 2 days' time.
The winter and summer solstices mark the shortest and longest days of the year respectively. The spring and autumn equinoxes mark the middle points between the solstices.
And so the wheel of the year has all the points on it in a circle. The winter and summer solstices, the spring and autumn equinoxes. Between the autumn equinox and the winter solstice, there is Samhain, which we've sort of Christianized into Halloween, but it's the midpoint. And between the winter solstice and the spring equinox, there is Imbolc, which is beginning of February, which is ewe's milk, Imbolc in Celtic language. And between the spring equinox and the summer solstice is Beltane, which is like May Day, beginning of May. And between the summer solstice and the autumn equinox is Lammas, which is at the beginning of August. And so Lammas, Samhain, Imbolc and Beltane are those 4 cross-quarter points, and that's what's on that wheel of the year. And people have made very attractive art pieces out of the wheels of the year, you know, with all sorts of natural plants and animals and things on it. So that's what I was showing you.
And there are other ways in which the stones may have helped ancient peoples mark the passage of the seasons.
Right, we're stood here by what I describe as the calendar stone. It's in the centre circle, and it, to my mind, is one of the most important stones of the whole complex, because it was able to give the ancient peoples a way of actually calibrating the seasons as they went by. A number of the circles on the moor have got stones which are not in the middle but to the south of centre, which means that they were looking to the south and that the shadows cast would be to the north, and therefore plenty of space for them to appear. What we find is, if we were able to scrape away the soil here, that there's a lot of white ground quartz down here, and that would have reflected the shadows, which would have been seen clearly and doubtless marked with charcoal or something of that sort.